Hello and welcome to Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studios in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mary Agiobo. Our top stories. Federal government inaugurates Nigerian Commodity Exchange Board to boost trade. Federal government seeks 5 billion naira boost for safe schools amid 144 billion naira probe. Diaspora funds emerge as key solution to housing deficit. And on the foreign scene, over 180 killed in Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon. Now the news in details. The federal government has inaugurated a newly reconstituted governing board for the Nigerian Commodity Exchange, marking a significant step toward revitalizing the country's commodities market. The inauguration, which took place in Abuja, signals the beginning of a new leadership phase aimed at enhancing market efficiency and strengthen institutional capacity within the sector. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Uduwole, confirmed the development, noting that the move aligns with broader reforms designed to reposition Nigeria's commodities ecosystem. According to the government, the board will play a strategic role in improving price discovery, boosting investor confidence, and facilitating seamless trade across agricultural and mineral value chains. Authorities further emphasized that the initiative is expected to enhance Nigeria's competitiveness in regional and global markets. In another development, the federal government is proposing an additional 5 billion naira allocation for the Safe Schools initiative in the 2026 budget, despite ongoing scrutiny by the National Assembly over the program's performance and financial management. The proposal appears in the House of Representatives order paper as part of capital supplementation plans. The renewed funding request comes amid growing concerns over persistent attacks on schools, raising questions about the effectiveness of the initiative since its launch in 2014. Lawmakers have already ordered a comprehensive investigation into the program, pledging to track all funds disbursed over the years following reports of alleged mismanagement. Security analysts have stressed that while funding for school safety is critical, accountability must remain a priority. Experts further argue that transparent utilization of previous allocations is essential to restoring public confidence and ensuring that the initiative delivers meaningful protection for vulnerable schools across the country. Moving on, the federal government has significantly increased funding for the Presidential Amnesty Program, proposing a total allocation of 115 billion naira in the 2026 budget. The move represents a substantial rise from the 65 billion naira allocated in previous years, highlighting renewed focus on reintegration efforts in the Niger Delta region. Budget documents indicate that the allocation has remained unchanged for 2 consecutive years before witnessing a sharp increase in the current fiscal cycle. The National Assembly retained the proposed figure without adjustments, suggesting legislative backing for the expansion of the program. Officials said the funding will support rehabilitation, training, and reintegration of former militants, while also covering scholarship schemes and operational costs. Analysts further note that while the program has received significant funding over the years, sustained impacts will depend on effective monitoring and measurable outcomes. Moving on to the Lagos State government intensifying efforts to strengthen environmental health systems by training frontline health workers in modern safety practices. The program targeted environmental health officers, nurses, and midwives, equipping them with skills in water testing, waste management, and public health protection. Officials said the training is part of a broader strategy to improve service delivery and enhance the state's response to environmental health challenges. Permanent Secretary of Health District 3, Monsurat Adeleke, emphasized the importance of building a competent workforce capable of addressing emerging sanitation and public health risks. Authorities further highlighted the integration of digital tools and scientific methods in environmental health practices. Meanwhile, the initiative underscores Lagos State's commitment to safeguarding public health through continuous capacity development and improved environmental monitoring systems. And the Gombe State Governor Inuwa Yahaya has approved the immediate dissolution of the State Executive Council, bringing to an end the tenure of commissioners who have served in his administration over the past 2.5 years. The decision was announced following the Council's 53rd session. The Governor has directed all affected commissioners to hand over to permanent secretaries to ensure continuity in governance. He also expressed appreciation for their service, commending their contributions to the state's development across key sectors, including infrastructure, healthcare, and education. In a relative directive, political appointees aspiring to contest in the 2027 elections have been asked to resign by April 10th. The move, according to the government, is aimed at promoting transparency, accountability, and compliance with electoral laws. We take a pause here, and up next are news stories from the build sector. Please stay tuned.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa.
Welcome back, and glad to have you joining us on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. And now to the build sector. Nigeria's housing sector is increasingly looking to diaspora remittances as a viable solution to its growing housing deficit. With millions of Nigerians living abroad contributing billions of dollars annually, stakeholders believe structured investment channels could transform the real estate landscape. However, experts note that while remittances reached over $20 billion in recent years, a significant portion remains outside formal investment frameworks. This has, however, exposed many diaspora investors to risks such as poor documentation, fraud, and abandoned housing projects. Officials say new initiatives are being developed to combat these inflows into structured housing finance. However, if effectively implemented, diaspora-backed investments could significantly boost housing supply, improve affordability, and reduce reliance on traditional funding sources. Minister of Finance Wale Edun has endorsed the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund as a critical tool in addressing Nigeria's housing finance gap. He described the initiative as a transformative approach to funding housing projects at more affordable interest rates. According to the minister, the fund aligns with the government's broader economic agenda of promoting inclusive growth and expanding access to essential services. He emphasized that the initiative demonstrates the impact of collaboration between public and private sector stakeholders. Edun also called for the expansion of the fund to reach more low and middle income Nigerians. Analysts say scaling the initiative could stimulate economic activity, create jobs, and significantly reduce the country's housing deficit if properly implemented. And now to the foreign scene. At least 182 people have been killed following a large wave of Israeli airstrikes across Lebanon, marking one of the deadliest escalations in the ongoing conflict. The strikes reportedly targeted multiple locations, including Beirut's southern suburbs, the Bekaa Valley, and parts of southern Lebanese. Health authorities say hundreds more were injured, with emergency responders continuing search and rescue operations amid widespread destruction. Israel described the operation as a coordinated strike on Hezbollah command centers and military infrastructure. The humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate, with thousands displaced and critical infrastructure severely damaged. Meanwhile, officials warn that the rising death toll and displacement crisis could further destabilize the region if hostilities persist. And finally, Germany has clarified its position on new military service regulations, stating that men under 45 are not currently required to seek approval for extended stays abroad. The clarification follows public confusion over provisions linked to the Military Service Modernization Act Defense Minister Boris Pistorius explained that while earlier guidance suggested mandatory approval for long-term travel, the rule has not been enforced. Authorities said the measure was introduced as a precautionary step amid evolving security concerns in Europe. The law, which introduces conscription in principle, is designed to strengthen national defense capabilities. However, officials maintain that compulsory service will only be activated if voluntary enlistment falls short of required personnel levels. That's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. But before we go, let's take a recap of our top stories. Federal government inaugurates Nigerian Commodity Exchange Board to boost trade. Federal government seeks 5 billion naira boost for safe schools amid 144 billion naira probe. Diaspora funds emerge as key solution to housing deficits. And on the foreign scene, over 180 killed in Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon. For more news on the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. I am Mary Agiobo. Bye for now.